You're listening to Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the community for the best sales and marketing professionals in the aviation industry. Your hosts, John and Paula Williams, are your sales and marketing test pilots. They take the risks for you and share strategies, relevant examples, hacks, and how-tos. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you won't miss a thing.
Welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you folks out there in the aviation world sell more products and services.
So today, our question is from Steve, and it is, how do I meet my sales goals by the end of the year? And our initial reaction is,
if you don't have them done by now, if you don't have it done by now, it's probably not going to happen.
Right. It's not a good time to be asking that question, but we've all been there, right?
Yes.
So this is a judgment-free zone, and here we are. We're going to give you some, first of all, we would be negligent as marketing consultants if we didn't tell you that you don't have to do this to yourself. There are ways to avoid it. And then secondly, we're going to tell you what to do now that you are here, because, like I said, we've all been there. And sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so thing number one is to avoid desperation, right?
Yeah, that's what calendars are for.
Yeah, desperation is not attractive. Number two, if you do end up finding yourself being desperate, you want to sell your smallest, simplest product. And number three is we'll talk about some ways to create urgency.
Yes.
So those are the three things we're going to talk about today, and we'll take about 10 minutes. It won't be very long, but we'll hopefully give Steve and everybody else who's in that situation. I'm sure there are people who would not admit it, but are there anyway, right?
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
It does. Okay, so the problem that we have is this, right? In some aviation companies like charter, everybody's flying their wings off, right?
Yes.
And they have a lot of things going on. Nobody's in the office making your standard office decisions like purchasing and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In other aviation companies that are the larger business-to-business type sales, everybody is completely gone. They're just AWOL, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Any time from now to the end of the year.
Right. This is when a lot of the folks, especially the people who are farther up the food chain, who have earned the seniority and everything else, have a lot of vacation that they want to take before the end of the year. And so, of course, they're taking it.
Yeah, it's called use or lose.
Mm-hmm.
And the government for sure, and also some private companies are taking up that attitude as well.
Absolutely. And the problem is those are the people that you need to approve those large purchases, that people make in the aviation industry. So if they're not in the office, they are not going to be approving large purchases. So, here you are selling to an empty chair. And, it really is kind of a no-win situation. And so to avoid that, what we're going to recommend is that you use your calendar. And the first thing you want to do is block out the typical times when sales are hard to make. Obviously, the whole month of December, there might be situations where the month that NBAA occurs, you've got some situations where everybody's going to be really distracted. And in this particular example, we've got HAI blocked out in February as well. So those are times when people are not likely to be where you want them to be, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so they're busy with trade shows. You're busy with trade shows. A lot of those activities are not directly selling. Those are building relationships. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have to be selling during those months and being under pressure to do that.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you are one of our clients, you have one of these. If you are not one of our clients, this is a good reason to become one. Because we have an aviation industry calendar that has all of the events for the year and things like that. If not, you can do this on your own. Basically mark out a calendar with all of the things that you want to be doing during the year and all of the sales that you want to be making. And you also want to put in the campaigns that you want to be doing. So in this example, this company has a product A and a product B, right?
True.
Okay.
At least.
Yeah. And so if they run a campaign in January for their product A, they're going to be making more sales in February, March, April, May, June for their product A. So they have a 6-month, approximately 5 or 6 month sales cycle, right?
Well, you've got product A and also in March.
Right, but you're assuming, this
April,
is their regular amount of sales. This is their more sales because they ran a campaign back here.
Got it.
Okay,
Right.
so they're making double the amount of sales because of this campaign. And then their product B, which is a smaller, simpler product, they're actually making sales 3 months later. So they run a campaign in March, and then they're making those sales in May, right?
True.
Okay. So, these are the kinds of things that you have some control over if you do the planning. And again, nothing is ever perfect, and you're going to make sales in months when you hadn't planned to make sales, and you sure don't want to turn them down, right?
No, we'll take them.
You'll take them anytime, but you don't plan to make sales in your months when you've got other things going on, or when you've planned to do a massive introduction campaign or a massive relationship building campaign, because things don't happen right away in aviation. We know we've got a longer sales cycle.
Right.
Okay. Yet another reason why you don't want to be in your current situation with having to make sales by the end of the year, because you got 2 weeks. Okay, so assuming you're here and it is, 2 weeks into December and you've got to make sales by the end of the year, for whatever reason, you got to make it look good on your books. You have to meet a certain quota to make a bonus. Whatever your situation is, there are some tactics that you can use that might help you, depending on what you're selling and whom you're selling them to.
I'm sure you're going to elucidate.
Okay. One of them is if you have a choice, like you've got a product A, B, C, and D, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most of us do have more than one product that we sell. You want to shoot for the smallest, simplest product that you can sell, because that one person who is left in the office that wants to get something done before the end of the year can make that decision to write a small check, as opposed to having to consult with 47 of her colleagues and or get approval from her boss and her boss's boss and her boss's boss's boss.
And then the board.
Exactly. So if she can make that decision and pull the trigger, most likely that's going to be on a smaller, simpler product.
Right.
Right? Okay, so that's one tactic. Another tactic is to do what we call urgency. And there are some natural kinds of urgency, and there are some artificial kinds of urgency that we can manufacture, right?
But they all count.
They all count, yeah. And some of these you may be able to do, depending on the type of product that you sell. And some of these may not apply, but I would bet that one or more of these will apply to just about anybody in the aviation industry.
And even if they don't, they'll tickle your brain to get you started thinking about things that would apply.
Exactly. So thing number one is taxes. If you can make it to people's advantage and highlight the fact, elucidate the fact that it is to their advantage to make a purchase before the end of the year, because they can write it off their taxes.
Or, in the case of this year, new tax regulations.
Exactly, tax regulations. And that's another thing. There may be FAA regulations or tax regulations that are going into effect that they want to make the purchase before those happen, right?
Yes.
Cool. A third thing is, once again, you've got that problem where there's only one person left in the office and everybody else is gone. They may feel reluctant to make a decision that they're committing the rest of their colleagues to. So if you have a 30-day guarantee, which you kind of have anyway if people are buying things with a credit card, because, there's always the possibility that they could give you a chargeback. So you might as well take advantage of that and put in writing your 30-day guarantee and make it sound like you're being generous, right?
Right, exactly.
So, we're not going to make any decision today that you can't reverse in the next 30 days if January 1st your boss comes back and says, what the heck did you do while I was gone?
And the smaller things that she's speaking of that you could sell will be within the realm of credit card purchase, typically.
Yeah.
Whereas the larger stuff will be done via wire probably.
Right. So, of the things that we're talking about selling within 2 weeks, we're talking about, in the, maybe $5,000 or less range, unless they're already in your pipeline and, you've been working on a deal for months, in which case you know about that, right?
Right.
Okay. So guarantees are a very legitimate thing. Another thing that you can do is to phrase your product in what we call dollarized value. How much money are you losing every month that you don't buy this product or service, right?
Sure.
Okay. So, make a great decision today, and you will start January with this thing fully implemented and, ready to go, and you'll make a lot more money in January, right? Okay. The other thing is incentives. So that would be, if you buy this, we will add this additional service or this additional upgrade or something like that, where you add something on to what you're selling, which is always preferable to discounts.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
Discounts are a complete last resort and extremely temporary.
Exactly. And the reason we don't like to do discounts is because they erode your price credibility, right?
You end up being in a race to the bottom with everybody else.
Exactly, and you end up in a race to the bottom. There's the story of the $30 Rolex. I don't know if we've told the story. It's been a while, I guess, since we've told the story about perceived value. And a Rolex is reassuringly expensive, right? It's something that you expect to have a certain dollar amount. Mm-hmm. And so if you ran across somebody selling a Rolex for $30, your first thought is,
it's a knockoff.
What's wrong with it? Exactly.
Right.
So, if you're selling a very high quality product or service, and you should have that reputation of being a very high quality product or service, then it is not to your advantage to offer, huge discounts. So if you look at the big names, that are known for quality, like Apple, Tesla, Rolex, things like that, deals are, I guess you can sometimes make deals, but they're not as frequent as with lesser known brands and
exactly.
lesser known quality
Probably
products.
the deal you make would be on quantity purchase.
Exactly. All right, so we talked about all of those things, and just to recap really quickly, thing number one, don't get desperate. It is unattractive. At best.
Should you find yourself in that situation, however.
Right, but if you do find yourself being desperate, there are things you can do. One is to sell your simplest, smallest product. Mm-hmm. Put your emphasis on that one. Something that one lonely person who's left in the office will feel like they accomplished something by making a purchase before the end of the year, without having to get approval from 47 other people, right?
Exactly.
And then the third thing is to create urgency. And really quickly, some of the things that we talked about to create urgency were taxes, regulations, guarantees, and of course, incentives, and the last resort is discounts. So a lot of people, the very first thing they do when they get desperate is immediately jump to the discount.
Yeah,
and
it's not good.
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do before that. So thank you for joining us. We do this every Monday at 1 o'clock on Facebook Live. And thank you for your patience as we, this is live TV, right?
This is work out the bugs in the software it looks like we may have this time.
Absolutely. And also, if you miss it or Mondays aren't convenient for you or whatever, we also put the replays on our website and on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play.
Of course.
And YouTube, of course. If you have a question for us, do let us know, and we will actually, if we use your question on the air, we will send you one of our calendars or our social media guide. You can have your choice for the next couple of months while we have some calendars left, right?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thanks for joining us for Aviation Marketing Hangar Flying, the best place to learn what really works in sales and marketing in the aviation industry. Remember to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating.
You're cool.